and happy Thanksgiving! You guys talked me into this. I wasn't going to do this tonight. I have absolutely nothing prepared, so I do actually have a couple of things. Maybe I will talk about those since I've been sitting here thinking about it. It took me a few minutes to set everything up. I am tonight. This is impromptu, so if I miss somebody or something, just either yell at me on screen here in the chat or whatever, or, don't take it personally, because I have no script tonight, no nothing. I actually do need to open up, I do have notes for my shout outs and stuff like that. But I'll basically pay attention to whoever's in the chats tonight. I can't believe people actually want to be here with me tonight. You should be with your family. Of course, I was with my family most of the day between cooking, and lots of people showed up. We had almost 25 people today. So, yeah, lots of good eats, lots of good company, lots of funny jokes. In fact, I do actually have a joke for you, but it's actually kind of real. It's one of those things, when I saw it, I couldn't stop laughing at it. Even my husband's looking at me like, come on, it's not that funny. But think about this, all right, okay? Just had an announcement on the radio here a couple of days ago that the Rolling Stones are coming in concert here in the Houston area in April. And then shortly after that, I saw an advertisement come up on one of my feeds for it, and you guys are never going to guess who is sponsoring the Stones concert. But it was like majorly apropos because it's AARP. You can't make this shit up. It's hilarious though, man. It's like Rolling Stones, they make it like such a big deal. These guys are 80 and still jumping around. I'm surprised one of them hasn't broken a hip yet. And of course, the guitar player Richards, he's been dead since 73. That's a corpse. That he's a zombie dude, you know what I'm saying? AARP is sponsoring the Rolling Stones, and the logo is kind of strange looking too. It almost looks like crystallized. It's the same lips and tongue hanging out and everything, but it looks all crystallized and wrinkly in 3D. And actually, to be honest with you, it looks almost like AI made it, but couldn't be more apropos. The Rolling Stones are coming, sponsored by AARP. I thought that was hilarious. All right, welcome to the show, everybody, and thank you for clicking on my little acre of the internet tonight. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had lots of good food, lots of good conversations. Hopefully some people got back with their families. Now, I actually only had a couple of family members out of the umpteen billion that I have. I do have a big family. There was 9 kids in my dad's family and 5 of my mom's family. I had 2 brothers. I had a brother and a sister. My husband has 4 brothers and sisters. So yeah, huge, ginormous family. And like I say, out of all of those people, we may have lost 1 or 2, maybe. Some of the younger ones, but I know that there was a lot of families that were completely ripped asunder during the virus and the all this other crap, not to mention deaths, things like that. But it was like people fighting and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that somebody out there got together and made good with their family member that may have been lost or not talking to or fought with or something like that over that 2-year period where the government pretty much took a hold of the entire country and went shook everything up. Can you tell? Let's see. All right, who do we got in the chats tonight? I'm going to start from the bottom up. Skeletor, welcome to the show. Sparky the Welder, the Mummy. Yeah, Keith Richards. Pitbull doorbell. Man, that is a tongue twister. Pitbull, dude. Gotta go. My boss is here. Struggle. Yeah, tell me about it. Uh, Skeletor says, I wouldn't waste my time seeing the Rolling Bones. As I say, Space Cowboys laughing at AARP. I laughed for almost a half an hour. It was just that, not even ironically funny. It just fits. AARP. Sponsoring the Rolling Stones. I guess they probably figured that if Bud Light sponsored it like they usually do, nobody would come. So, in fact, AARP is the old person's insurance, and actually, I can remember when they started. I was a little, I guess I was about 5, maybe 6 or something like that. My grandmother, I can remember my grandmother got it then. And for like a major, it was like a supplement to insurance, like death benefit or something like that. And I can remember she started out paying like $3.30 a year for AARP, and of course they'd send her coupons, and she got all kinds of perks with it and everything like that. They would actually even send her travel voucher things, and like then you get 50% off airfare or 50% off of some hotel or whatever. It was really kind of cool. But now it's more, it actually costs as much as Obamacare does, from what I can tell, and it's run by the left, so I wouldn't have AARP anyway. They do have a Republican or a conservative type of insurance like that too at the same time. I have no idea. You don't ever hear it advertised. Sparky the Welder says that's good. If you're going to see the Rolling Stones, you better wear a dust mask. Yeah, especially if they fart. Lizzie Longtoes, my famous friend, and Grandma. Welcome to the show. Yes, family. And actually, now that I'm here, I feel like I'm with family too. Salty Al Bundy, welcome to the show. Let's see. Space Cowboy, Sparky, Skeletor, Zom. Actually, Zom's the one that talked me into this by telling me, you know you want to. Sure, why not? I'll spend the rest of the evening with my extended family out there in the world. I know that only like 1 or 2 of you might be from Texas, right? 1205 and Cy, welcome to the show. Welcome to this impromptu Happy Thanksgiving live stream. Salty Matt Jameson. Oh, hi, Mark. Did you see that movie? This guy is, I don't, he showed up. He's kind of sort of my hero in a way, because he's not embarrassed about how bad, how horrible of an actor he is, how stupid his porn was, and how bad that movie, The Room, but it's become a cult classic. In fact, people make memes of it now. But he supposedly showed up, got like somebody to invest like $6 million to him to do this movie and everything like that. He made a few appearances for, I guess, a year or 2 afterwards, and he's gone. You ain't seen nothing about him. Nobody knows where he went. Nobody knows what happened to him. He took the money and run. Well, Skeletor, you got here as fast as you could. He says, I'm not from Texas, but I'm in Texas. Yes. Welcome. Let's see. I'm the Resistance. Welcome over there on Rumble. It actually did take me a few minutes to set up. I had to set up. Actually, Odysee made me wait the longest for the setup. Everything else was running. I'm still sitting here twiddling my thumbs. What's going on with you, Odysee? So, I'm the Resistance says, never trust a fart after 40. Well, you can always trust that they are going to smell bad, at least, if nothing else. Oh, yeah. All right. So, again, welcome to the show. I'm ldghwih, as you guys already know, your hostess, blah, blah, blah. This is the Talk to Me America show where the world wants to know what you have to say, so call me and tell them like it is. I'm going to open the phone lines in case anybody wants to call me now. And I think the question for tonight is, now, I don't know how many people spent time with their family, things like that. Why in the world did this change all of a sudden? Okay, just have to resize it, I guess. Welcome. Here are some to get you to... I've been started on this. What in the world? Skype's introducing itself to me again. That was weird. All right, let me make sure that they got the right settings on here, because I had to change the ones on OBS. I don't know what Windows is doing. Every time I turn it off and turn it back on, I have to reset my audio settings in OBS. But it sometimes ends up making the same problem. Okay, no, it didn't do it in Skype. So Skype is ready if you guys want to call in. And the question for the day is, if you spent time with your family today, did any of you talk politics at all? Did it come up? Did anything like that come up? A few things like that came up with us, but we actually talked about, and this is something too, everybody, sometimes it makes me feel uncomfortable because I don't feel like it's that special because I do it for a living, but everybody always wants to talk to us about music. You know, what is it like to be up there? What kind of music? What's your favorite this? Anything about music. They want to know, you know, and it's like, sometimes it's like, man, I don't really want to talk shop, you know? So that's actually one of the reasons why, you know, somebody asked me about that pussy comment that Trump made, what is it, 12 years ago now? And it's like, you know, he didn't say that he did do that, but I get it. I'm not even that famous or that big or anything like that, and I have gotten some, well, I think I told y'all guys last week, I've had some propositions that are very inappropriate. I've been kind of assaulted once by a woman, a dyke, or I don't know what they call them now, lesbian woman. She's like, I'm gonna have you. She followed me into the bathroom and literally pushed me up against the wall. Yikes! I actually, the weirdest part about that was all I had to do was look down at her and tell her, look, man, I'm not gay, and my boyfriend is on stage. She backed right off. In fact, she left after that. She walked out the whole bar and everything. That was an intense experience. Skeletor says, none. I was so disgusted I wanted to blow up. Well, someone mentioned the Red Cross. I told them I no longer donated to them due to the work they're doing, helping at the southern border. Does that count? Sure, I guess. I don't know if that's political per se. Did it piss anybody off? I guess my main question is, did anybody get into any fights today over their dinners or families or anything like that? Like I say, my main thing, and I had told everyone last week to try and maybe hook up with a family member, you know, reach out, you know, don't lose your family, because the family is really, really, really important, especially now. Salty Mad Jamin says, what you're describing is still referred to as a dyke or a bull dyke. Okay. Well, like I say, this was almost 20 years ago now, so but maybe even a little bit more, but it was actually, I think it might have been scarier to me as a female, because first of all, she was 2 times as wide as I was and just as tall as I am. I'm 6 foot. She was really strong, and because of the fact that she wasn't a male, out of place, I was afraid that nobody would, you know, because usually if a guy walks into the ladies' room or something like that, the ladies will go get another guy and say, hey, get this motherfucker out of the back, you know, that kind of thing or whatever like that. But it's a little different when there's a woman and she actually belonged in there, you know what I'm saying? But like I say, I guess good Lord above was watching over me for that kind of thing too. Because like I say, she overpowered me, and I don't think I was going to be able to get it back. I really wasn't expecting it. She literally backed me up against the wall as I'm drying my hands and stuff. But yeah, all I had to tell her was, hey, look, man, my boyfriend's with me. You know, I work with my boyfriend. He's on stage with me, which actually that was our excuse. Because again, this is something that happens to anybody that gets on stage like that, especially at nightclubs. They get drunk or something like that. I've been followed home. I've been stalked. I've had to change my phone number a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? So, Pitbull says, so yeah, political. Didn't start any fights, though. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. So, yeah, that was one of the scarier experiences. I could handle myself with men, but I had no clue what to do. I'd never, ever been encountered like that by a woman before. Now, I'd had women politely and everything like that, but, I mean, this was getting ready to be assault. And that's really and truly the only time I've ever been afraid of that. I mean, like I say, I know how to handle myself with most men. But yeah, having a chick do that was definitely different. Definitely different. Put it this way, 14 people and only my daughter and I are pure blood. Okay. Nobody, well, I was going to say, nobody's swagging their fingers at us anymore. I guess some people do get the message or the picture. Anyway, I am streaming. The phone lines are open. You can, if you like, if you want. It doesn't matter. This is impromptu. Like I said, I didn't have anything particularly prepared for tonight. I actually, like I say, I cooked and had guests and all that. So it was my year. And of course, I couldn't have ignored my guests and all that stuff all day. We got people in town and stuff like that too. So, let me see if I can remember where I put this, because this was something. This was something this was something that I was saving until next week. Next week's show is going to be, so Trump ain't so bad after all, is he? Or something like that, because of all of the people that I'm now seeing that are saying Trump, that absolutely hated him before. So what? These people aren't paying you to hate him anymore? I mean, what's going on here? This is confusing to me, of course, but I was going to feature all of the people so far and up until next week's show of who are flopping. In fact, even Tim Pool came on, I think it was yesterday or today. I know I was listening to Tim Pool this morning when I was taking a shower. What was he talking about? I know. Oh, he was talking about the ages 18 to 30 or 32. The youth. They're calling it the youth. I don't know why. That's adults. Youth is 16 and you know what I'm saying? Below 18, that's youth. But he was saying that hey, Hallie, welcome and happy Thanksgiving to you as well over there on YouTube. But he was talking about how a lot of them now are saying they would vote for Trump. They're not really giving a whole lot of reasons why, but the numbers for Trump are going up and up and up and up and up. Again, I take the polls and these kinds of things with a grain of salt, because I still think that they're going to make him, they're going to build him up as high as he can, and then still he'll lose the election, because you know what they do, 2020. But he'll lose the election so that they can embarrass him again. They're going to try and embarrass him again, I think. That's just my, that's just my opinion on it. It's also, like I say, if they were willing to sacrifice the millions of people that they sacrificed for that damn virus and everything else and everything like that to get him out of office, then these people are not going to stop at anything to keep him out of office. And you've heard how they've been screaming. It's a long story, Laura. Heathens, all of them. Okay. Actually, it's not a bad thing that nobody fought. We didn't have any terrorist attacks. They haven't decided what to finally call that thing that happened up on the Rainbow Bridge up there in Niagara Falls. In fact, I've literally heard 4 stories about it so far, and the person that I actually believe most right now is Anthony Brian Logan, ABL. In fact, even Benny Johnson said something this morning about that it was a terrorist and that was filled with, and it's like, no, they're already, no. And he said that it was trying to go from America to Canada. Or no, from Canada to America. But then witnesses supposedly said that they were heading for Canada. So I wasn't there. I don't even know what to believe. Skeletor says, I was praying by myself before I ate. Someone asked, what's he doing? Heathen family. Oh, okay. Well, not everybody prays before they eat. In fact, what was that joke? What was that joke? Rodney Dangerfield? My wife can't cook. We prayed after we eat. All right, let's see. Making sure everything's working. It looks like everything's working properly. I wasn't checking. All right, I'm over there on Rumble. I see a bunch of people on Rumble. Welcome, welcome. We love our lurkers. We love our lurkers. All right, I'm going to show you this guy. I'm sure you guys have seen this 1,000 times. But this dude right now is my hero. And they're calling him the... What is that? Not Guatemala. Somebody remind me what he's the new president of. Trump isn't so bad. Yeah, he broke her. He broke her. He broke her. And he's like, he barely knows who she is. He probably doesn't care two shits. But this guy is my hero right now. They've now started comparing all of these far-righters. This is what he's considered because he doesn't like the lefties. And he's got their number. Argentina. Thank you, Salty Matt Javison. Afuera! Gun! Afuera! Go! But this is why he's my hero.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda que no
Todos
lo
los que,
entiendo?
digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda.
The best reason of them all. She says, why do you call them shit? He says, because they're shit. You can't get better than that. There is no, I was going to say, not to mention the fact that this is their own circular logic too. How they describe something by using the word to describe it, like women. A woman is somebody that has woman's attributes. No, it's not. Circular logic. You can't define something with the word to define it with. Although, all right, we'll go on. Because there's...
O sea, no, pero es que si pensás... Pero si pensás distinto te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar un milímetro.
You can't give shit leftists an inch.
Que le das un milímetro y lo tomas para destrozarte. Es decir, usa, digo, o sea, vos no podés negociar con el zurdo. No se negocia.
You can't negotiate with leftards. Is there actually a Spanish word for leftards? Okay, you don't negotiate with trash because they will end you. Yeah, you give them an inch and they will take everything from you. Just so you know, this Afuera guy might actually be a Nazi. A shitload of real Nazis fled to Argentina after they lost World War II, and they have a strong presence there. He could be a descendant. The blue eyes give that away. That was one of the things that I noticed about him first. Them fucking blue eyes, man.
No se negocia con esa mierda, no se negocia porque te van a llevar puesto.
But I was going to say, is he wrong, though? You know, I haven't heard him say anything racist. I haven't heard him say anything sexist, for that matter. He just knows that the left is not out to be fair. You know, you see it here. You've seen it down there. In fact, supposedly, Argentina has been communist for almost 50 years now. So... I don't know. He says, I'm sorry, I just don't like being mocked for my love of Christ. Well, I was going to say, that's something that Christ warned us about. Besides, you're not supposed to worry about what they think, only what he thinks. Right? All right, we'll go on with Javier Milei is his name.
Si tienen un golpeador que caga trompadas a la mujer... Digamos, si es de ellos, ¿entendés? Se pone el pañuelito verde y grita todo el tiempo contra el neoliberalismo, lo ocultan. ¿Me entendés? O sea, si de repente hay alguien que acosó un periodista que acosa a otra periodista, lo ocultan. Es decir, a todos los de ellos lo ocultan. Todas esas aberraciones la ocultan. Ahora...
If it's one of them, they hide all their aberrations. Yes, he's not wrong about that either. Now, if you're on the other side, he says...
Si vos estás del otro lado, a vos te van a estropear, te van a matar, te van a dar con lo que sea. No les importa arruinarte la vida. ¿Por qué? Porque no pensás como ellos. Y, ¿sabes qué es lo bueno de todo esto? Hay algo bueno en todo esto. Porque como el error es humano, como todo...
Since everyone can be mistaken,
todos nos podemos equivocar. ¿Sabes qué nos obligan? Nos obligan a ser mejores. Y como estamos siendo tan mejores con ellos, como los estamos aplastando en la batalla cultural, los estamos pasando de arriba, porque no solo le ganamos en lo productivo, somos superiores moralmente, somos superiores estéticamente.
In other words, we look better than they do. We keep ourselves better than they do. And again, I've watched this about 5 or 6 times now, and I wanted to share it with you. And that's, like I say, I'm going to share it with you probably next week too, because I'm going to bring together all of the different Trumpisms, I guess you could say, that people are starting to go, he's on the table. One that blew my mind actually came up right after the show last week. was that Rappaport dude. I was like, nah, this has got to be a deep fake. This guy is too much. And the thing that I noticed about that also too, when he was talking about that, he didn't cuss near as much when he was talking about the fact that Trump might be on the table. Usually, every other word you have to bleep out. You don't even know what he says if he's talking about Trump, how much he hates him or whatever like that. This time he used pig dick, but he didn't say MF a lot of time. I think he might have said it once, maybe. I don't know. But that's just something I noticed. Rappaport has a foul mouth. Not that I'm any better, but just saying, it's a fact. Drunken Rocky. Hate to say it, but dude sounds a shitload like Himmler. Just saying, Trump doesn't sound anything like a Hitler. No, he doesn't. Well, they think he does because he uses the same language. It's like, yeah, man, Trump drinks water and so did Hitler. He's got to be... And actually, Greg Gutfeld had a good point. Had a real good point. I listened to him this morning, too. I was up early cooking and stuff. But he had a really good point. I think it was Monday's show. He basically said, by these people claiming that Trump is worse than Hitler, they're basically claiming that Hitler wasn't all that bad. In other words, the things that Hitler did were not as bad as what they're saying Trump is going to do or whatever like that. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, man, they basically, when they say he's worse than Hitler, they're making Hitler sound better. So, yeah. Descendant from Nazis isn't necessarily the same thing as being a Nazi, I guess. No, it isn't. You know, now, like I say, he's saying left. He's not. He's saying leftist. He's not saying any race. He's not going after any particular person or ethnicity or group. You know, he's just saying no more leftists. That could be anybody. You know. Again, he may be faking it. All these politicians, you know, you can't trust any of them anyway. But, like I say, he got voted in somehow or another. Obviously, his constituents, his people down there are tired of being poor. They're tired of being put upon. They're tired of being ripped off, probably raped, all this other stuff. They're tired of being taken advantage of. Communism never works. In fact, what was it? Margaret Thatcher. Because you always run out of other people's money. Oh, it's never really been tried. Read a book! Mr. Tizo! Welcome to the show. Sorry about that. This is an impromptu show. I don't really have anything prepared. I have been watching people roll over and run over and start to want to vote for Trump, even young people. But again, I take all of this with a grain of salt. I see what it looks like, but it's never what it looks like when it comes to our politicians. You guys know the only people we can trust, right? The only person that we actually can trust. Humankind, no matter who they are, how good they might be, still sucks. I've actually heard bad things about Mother Teresa and Gandhi. So I haven't gone and looked into this enough, but from what I can tell, people are just tired of being bullied. They're tired of being lectured by stuff that they know is absolutely wrong. Have you ever experienced this stuff that they're trying to tell us about? No. Can't trust Laura. She told us she wasn't streaming today. I was talked into it by Zom. I got here. In fact, I came to see if anybody was streaming in my place. Usually somebody will step in. And most people were hanging with Pastor Shadley. I think he's playing a game or something. Oh, no. I'm being simulcast as we speak. Hello, Pastor. And welcome, Pond. Thank you for being here. You didn't have to stop playing your game just for little old me. But I do appreciate that. Welcome, Pond. Don't forget to come on over here and give me some fire, will you? I can use it. It's actually getting cold down here. Thanks, Zom. Yes, he said he actually talked me into it by saying, well, you know you want to. Because he's like, oh, are you back on the menu? It's like, well, I hadn't planned on it. I actually came to see if anybody was streaming in my stead, because usually somebody will take over. Bobby Digital, happy Thanksgiving to you too. Thank you so much. All good Smiga needed a break. Okay. Rocky, woo woo! All right. And of course, you guys know how to support the channel, but if you share, that's great too. I would venture to say that most everybody's probably finished with their dinner by now. As far as that goes, you can come and fall asleep to my drone, right? My droning. All right. So there I am on being simulcast. So I'm being simulcast on Odysee twice, and Rumble and Kick and the YouTubes. The YouTubes. Hallie was there for a second. I guess everybody is really, well, a lot of people are probably really busy tonight. Hopefully you're just driving and listening. The phone lines are open. You can. Call me. If you like. Call me. And of course the question is, did you start any shit with your family today? Or did your family start any shit with you today over whatever? Like I say, I pretty much recommended people to try and start, because you don't really, you still care about those people. I know I do. I don't want to see anything happen to them. I'm not mad at them for this. What can I tell you? The propaganda is strong with these people. Actually, also, they do so much under the radar sometimes. It's right there before we even know it. Old Salty Dog, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. All right. Let's see. How many do we have? Greetings. You're on the air.
Oh, hello there, Laura. How are you tonight?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's been kind of a hard day today, actually. So my family was weird today. I immediately got told to shut up about politics and conspiracy theory, with an emphasis on conspiracy theory, because they hate it when I talk like that.
Really? Well, what did you want to talk about? What did they tell you to shut up about?
Well, okay, so we were watching the routine Macy's Day Parade, and they all noticed that everybody in it was black or gay. They were either gay or black or gay or both.
Oh my God!
And
also, I'm not the only one that noticed that. I try real hard not to be that way, but they have pushed that so hard and so obvious now and everything. Hang on one second. Bobby Digital, thank you so much for the donation. You get one of these. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Bobby.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that there was not one white celebrity in the whole caboodle.
No, none of them. And all the bands kind of sucked. I mean, I don't want to diss on the bands because they're mostly kids, but they had one band that came out twice, and they were all the old farts, and they weren't very good, and they were all kind of, none of them were in shape. They were the 400 band leaders, not the bands that they led, just the leaders of the bands, and I guess they wanted to relive their youth again. So then they paraded them out in front of the main strip twice. I'm like, my God, where's the kids at? Because the kids do better than these old people did.
Oh, well, now I didn't watch the broadcast of it. I watched it on YouTube, I watched it on YouTube right before, it's like 20 minutes before the television station broadcasted it out. So I didn't see that. I didn't see that part. I didn't know that had happened. I just happened to notice it was a much shorter parade than I remember. First of all.
Yeah, it was low energy too. And it wasn't put together as previous parades had been, because the Macy's Day Parade's like the biggest parade on the planet, probably.
Yeah, in fact, one of the things that you might have missed that I did see, there was a clown car parked in the middle of the parade route right there, and a lot of the stuff had to go around it before they could turn that corner right there. I think that's right where the TV stations are, around that corner there. So for most of the parade, there's this big clown car shoe sitting in the center of the street, and everything, the balloons, the bands, all had to go all around it and everything like that. So I wonder what the hell's going on. And then one of the balloons, I don't remember because it was some anime thing that I'm not familiar with, and I couldn't read the sign in the front, but one of the balloons, as it was coming down that street, his hat sprung a leak and then just went. So he had a really flat hat and everything like that. It was blowing. It was really windy. But yeah, there was some very incompetent stuff going on.
Yeah, it wasn't very well put together at all, and even on the broadcast, it wasn't stitched together very cleanly. It was all amateur hack job. And even this was actually kind of funny. They had the people down there dancing gaily, like literally gaily. And one of these floats, since it's made together in sections. I must have missed
that too.
Yeah, one of the floats, one of its hands had deflated, so its hand was flopping it down like a limp-wristed faggot, like a limp-wrister. So
you think maybe they did that on purpose?
Like, maybe it was all fake and gay.
Yes, you're right, Mr. Tizo. I missed the climate tards that glued themselves to the road to block the parade. In fact, I think I might have heard that and saw that on Salty later on. I think he talked about it. But yeah, I didn't realize that either. But I heard also too that they got arrested. So good. Twilight Zone fruitcakes everywhere. Yeah, why in the world? What in the world would possess you to glue yourself to something? Do you think that you're just going to be able to pull your hand up off of it and walk away when you feel like it after that? Actually, to be honest with you, in some of these cases, they should leave them there. What happens when you got to pee? What's going to happen when you got to pee or you need to drink or you leave them there? They want to be that stupid, leave them there.
That's right, leave them there. They're pretty broken individuals.
Salty Al Bundy says, no, those were the horny for Hamas crowd. I don't care who they were. Gluing yourself to the fucking street when you know damn well a ginormous part of traffic's coming through there is just a stupid idea. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Plus also, too, you're not doing shit. In fact, the glue that you're using is petroleum, you fuckface. Come on. These people are dumb. They're stupid.
They're pretty dumb. And here's another thing I noticed too, like all the support for Palestine, and that was in the parade itself too, because it was a tree that they brought out, a float with a big tree on it, and they had a bunch of black people dressed as Native Americans, which is cultural appropriation, I thought. But hey, it's okay when black people do it, but not when we do it. And they were flying the Palestine flag.
Black people and trans people, they can do anything they want, anytime they want, whatever they want.
That's what it seems like. It sure seems that way.
Well, it is so far. I'm the resistant. Accidentally glued myself to myself. Gee, I hope it's above the waist, my friend. Nobody likes to be glued to their leg.
So yeah, that was it. And then our dinner, which was a really good dinner, we all worked hard at it, and we spoke nothing. Like, I prayed, but just kind of to myself. Not all my family are into that kind of thing, so
Okay, now I know
give
who
thanks
this
what we
is.
got. Wait, who's this?
This is Skeletor.
No, it's
No?
not Skeletor today.
Isn't that who told me that you prayed and the family didn't like that?
Well, he wasn't the only one.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But that's common. It's like sprinkling holy water on demons. When you announce the word of God, the demons will show up and they will curse you, because it's like throwing holy water on demons. I always thought that was some sort of farce that you would see on the movies, like The Exorcist, But that shit's real.
Mm-hmm.
You drop the name of God, and the demons reveal themselves immediately. They can't help it.
Indeed.
And that's how you know.
Yeah,
that's how you know every time. It works every time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why. Another one of the reasons why they don't want Trump in there. Whether they believe that he believes in God or not, it's one of the things he professes, and they can't handle it.
Well, it's mostly because other people support him because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's whenever you drop the name of God, the demons come out. I bet you they'll show up here in the chat here if they were likely to.
When they do, I sick Pastor Shadowley on them.
Yeah, he's here. He's been hanging around. He's good at it. I know he loves it.
Yep. That's his calling. That's his job. So
right.
I don't feel called to be that way or do that kind of thing, but I feel that God has put him there for me to do that for me when I need it, if I need it. Am I wrong, Pastor?
He's good at teaching us. So this is Blue-Eyed Demon. This is Blue-Eyed Devil, by the way.
Oh, Sai. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the phone. I don't memorize the phone numbers, and if you don't put something in there, it doesn't tell me. So I try to keep everybody anonymous unless they want to tell me. But yes,
that's all good. So
Jesus warned us about that, and he also let us know you can't worry about that. You can't worry about what man thinks. You have to worry about what him and God thinks. That's all that matters.
That's for real.
Pastor says dead on. Yep.
Yeah. The other thing I learned about the family thing, it's not always easy to work with family, especially now since everybody's so divided. Just know that they're under the influence of basically evil, and they may not be aware of it. It's tempting. It's cozy in the mind prison, just like Pastor says all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And the best way to defeat that is to just love them anyway. You just love them.
That's all you can do.
You don't have to like what they do. In fact, we're compelled to hate the sin, but we're compelled also to love the person. Love your neighbor. Doesn't mean you have to do what they do. Doesn't mean you have to like them either. Just you gotta love them. So, peace.
Yeah, well, it doesn't say nothing about liking them, and it doesn't say nothing about taking their shit either. So,
for real,
salty old
you don't
fart.
have to become like them.
Welcome to the show over there on Rumble. New face in the crowd. America Inc. Music. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome to the show. This is just an impromptu Thanksgiving show. I wasn't going to do it, but everybody left a few minutes after 7, and I came on to see if anybody was streaming in my stead, and Zom talked me into it. So here I am.
Well, we're glad you're here, Laura.
Well, thank you.
And that's for real. This one's for Drunken Rocky because he posted a funny meme. That's for real. Just act less gay. It's all right. You don't have to be a gay all the time.
Is that for
if
real?
You're gay,
is that a real headline? It looks like it was a newspaper. Being bullied? Just act less gay, advised teachers. Which teachers? Most of these teachers are happy to force these kids to be gay now. Did you see that one lady? Oh, just another chance for me to force my kids to be gay. I was like, oh my God. Who the fuck do you think you are?
They're broken. There's broken individuals.
Most of the time, I just gotta smile and nod because I ain't getting in fights with some of these people. It ain't worth it. It ain't my job.
That's right.
It's a newspaper clipping.
That's
Guess
right.
it's old as fuck. Yeah. Yeah. I would say, I don't know, what, 80s maybe? Rocky, is that something that you took a picture of or something you just found? What's the date? Yeah, 1205 says it's old. That's old.
It's pretty old.
I'm pretty old.
I can't remember a time when they would do that. That's pretty old.
Yeah, must be real old. Let's see. Katie Moore and Callum Hurley at the High Court in... What is it? London today. Oh, okay. All right, London paper. That explains it, too. I couldn't imagine anybody in the United States doing that. At midnight, Rockies drinks his super gay juice.
Oh, my.
So, what's his name? What's his name? Or should you want him to stay anonymous? Unless it's 1:30 on a Thursday. Oh, okay. You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. What do you think of this Javier Milei? Were you the one that's saying you think he might be a Nazi?
Well, no, I don't know for sure. I don't really know anything about him other than what's been on the channels for the last couple of days. And he says some of the right stuff, and I'm like, hey, it sounds all for it. But some of the stuff that he says sounds just like the stuff Hitler said in some of his speeches. Now, I'm not saying that's what he's going to do, because we've noticed that what Hitler promised, he didn't deliver. He delivered the opposite, just like these faggots in D.C. do. So he projected a whole lot. And, you know, like he says he was all up into it for white people. Yeah, we're going to make the white race proud and strong and great and the best.
Yeah.
Better than them at everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what he delivered was tremendous amount of death on all those people that he said he was going to stand up for. So the results of his actions resulted in the death of millions of white people.
Yeah.
And so there's a problem. Like, you can go out there and you promise all the world all these great things to a certain public that is primed to hear it, and then they support him, and then they turn out doing something totally different than they promised, which we've heard a billion fucking times. Every time we know it,
that's any
we should
government
know
entity.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You should just know by default that all politicians are liars. They're all working on behalf of Satan, whether they know it or not. And I don't suspect this guy's any different. But I don't know. We'll have to find out, because Argentina has had one hell of a time with communism for the last number of decades. And it's completely annihilated
their inflation is like 120%. How in the hell do you get over 100% of anything?
Right. And they have phenomenal resources. They're a wealthy country in resources, just like Venezuela also. Venezuela has tons of oil.
Oh, yeah.
But they can't sell it because their government's fucked and ruined their economy.
Well, their government's taking it over, yeah. That's what happens. I've never seen anything get better when the government takes it over. Ever. Never. Ever, 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 never, never. Limited access! Welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. I hope you had a happy turkey day. Did you eat some of your fresh veggies and stuff like that? I'm your ninja! Actually, I was, but you can thank Zom for talking me into it by telling me, you know you want to. But I thought, I know everybody wants me to, so why not? I told him I don't have anything prepared. I got a few things I'm working on for next week, and I wanted to share this guy with you. Right now, he's my hero because he doesn't have... He has the balls to say what everybody's thinking right now. These leftards are just... are for the fucking birds. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be... And it's like you said, I love them. They're humans. I understand that. But I don't have to like what they're doing, and I don't have to participate. In fact, according to our commands, we're not allowed to participate in some of this shit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and also...
Here's the other thing, too. There's another thing to add to it. It's like, you got to love the people. When it says to love our neighbor, I believe that Christ was asking us to love our human neighbors.
Right.
And we got to understand that not all these people walking around in human bodies are human. There's something else. Now, it's not easy to know, so it's not easy for us to judge. We shouldn't judge, but at the same time, we kind of need to judge people to know if they're sinning or not and what not to do. So I'm not saying we should go around judging everybody, but you're going to experience demons out there.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not protected under the same sphere of influence as a human is.
Nope.
So
Let's see. Great Turkey Day. Thank you. I'm the Resistance says mierda equals lefty in Spanish. Yeah, I know a little bit of Spanish. In fact, I want to learn more. I'm one of those people that actually went to Spanish classes my entire school career. I took at least 15 years of Spanish classes, and do you know I can speak a little bit, but I can't have a conversation with anybody. It seemed like it was always doing the what do they call that? The verbs, whatever like that.
Conjugation.
Yeah, the conjugation. I was constantly doing conjugations. Can we talk? How do you say where's the bathroom? How do you say the kind of thing I'm going to need to talk to somebody else? Even like it's small talk, how's the weather? I don't know how to say any of that stuff.
Well, Spanish has some different traits, and everything is about gender there. And it's weird that here in America, gender has become obviously blurred. And we get it. It's not blurred for us, but that other half seems to think that they don't understand what gender is anymore.
Oh, well,
but
it's not blurred for the Spanish people. They're not having this shit.
No, because their entire culture, even their languages, is buried in gender.
Exactly.
So your word choice depends on the gender of the person you're talking to and who's doing the talking. So it's important that you understand the gender. And there's no middle of the road. Mm-mm. There's no blurring the lines. They just know, because everybody knows that's a natural human thing. It's completely unnatural. And that's what I mean by demons. I think
all the languages except for maybe Arabic or something like that were gendered.
They were, and most of the languages are. I'm not super familiar with the Asian languages, but I understand that it's in there too. But in English, which is kind of a hodgepodge.
Believe it or not,
English is a hodgepodge.
When I went to China, one of the things I learned about was you can have a person. There's actually 5 different ways to pronounce the word Liu or Lu. It's L-U-I. And some of them, the way you pronounce it, depending on what you use the emphasis on for that particular word, because that's a lot of them's names out there, is whether it's male or female, if I remember correctly. Chinese has 365 characters. Mandarin does.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's like 17 other dialects, depending on where you go over there.
Right, and it's not easy to learn from an outsider. Obviously, it's easy to learn if you're born there and you're raised in it. But there's a couple people on YouTube, for example, that they're Americans, but they were raised in China, so they're fluent, and it freaks them out because they're not used to hearing outsiders speak Chinese. Mm-mm.
I actually had a translator with me that was trained in the Army.
Oh, yeah? Hey, wow. It's kind of a hard language to learn. I'm not familiar with much Chinese. Japanese a little tiny bit. Spanish I actually knew a whole lot because I lived in the barrio for more than a decade. I married a Mexican girl, and I was married to her for a long time, and her family all spoke Spanish. She didn't, but her family did. So, and I spoke also. And being from Arizona, everybody speaks Spanish there. So it's like little Mexico. It's always been that way.
Let's see.
I know that.
Go ahead.
Oh, America beat Mexico up in the Spanish-American War, so we reclaimed the land. But Arizona is still, and Texas too, actually, and New Mexico, that's still pretty damn much Mexico. The borders aren't. It's not literally Mexico, but it may as well be.
Well, it was their land before the Louisiana Purchase, I believe, or something like that, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. And we just developed it, and they weren't using it a whole lot because it's hot in Phoenix, it's hot in Texas, in South Texas, and it's hot in New Mexico. So they weren't using it a whole lot. And so, we could use it. So we beat their ass. We had to. That's just the natural order of things.
Yeah, Texaco.
It's not pride that we beat them. Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's just the way
Texas
it is.
Now. I want it to stay Texas.
Right.
They can come and live here if they want to, but it's still Texas.
Right. And until they start driving tanks across the border trying to get at us, it's going to stay Texas.
Right.
But that's the way conquering goes. Every single culture that has ever spawned on Earth is a result of them having conquered somebody else.
Yep.
So today on Thanksgiving, since we are faulted for having conquered those poor indigenous Native American people, which I love, by the way, but they lost. That's just what happens. It sucks to have been them, but that was 500 years ago.
Yeah,
and
well,
they
and
lost.
also,
I'm
too,
sorry.
it wasn't as cut and dry as they're trying to make it sound, like we just came over here and just slaughtered everybody. That's not how
That's
it
for
happened.
real. It
First of
wasn't.
all, those people had slaves before we even came over here. African slaves, believe it or not. They enslaved each other. That's actually how they got a lot of their gold. A lot of these Indians were fighting each other for territory. I mean, that was just going on. These people weren't angels just, oh, la-di-dying before we came here and just chopped everybody's fucking heads off. No, that's not how it happened.
Right. They were very proud of their warriors.
Yes.
Because they were at war all the time.
In fact, when they captured somebody, they either enslaved them. They would actually give them the choice. You can either be a slave and go get the gold or do this kind of thing for me, or you die. You know, so most people would rather be alive, I think. So
right,
yeah, that's why
exactly
I say they try really, really hard to make it sound like as if we just came over here and just started cutting heads off and just slaughtered everybody for no reason. But no, that's not what happened. Yes, of course, we did bring diseases over here, but that actually happened anytime somebody new went somewhere new. I mean, if you look at they're trying to make, you can see how they're actually in a way trying to make it like 1984, trying to make you forget any history past a certain point, and then when it gets to the point where nobody remembers anything past that point, they're going to make it shorter and shorter, and to where everything will be today, and nothing will be right except for whatever system we're under. That's it. There won't be any future. There won't be any past. There won't be anything. The computers will be in charge. You know what I'm saying? Just like 84. That's
Absolutely.
what I'm seeing them do. That's what I see them doing, and it's actually kind of working, because you see people always screaming and yelling about 400 years ago, black slavery, America's original sin. Well, that was happening all over the earth for all of mankind. We're the ones that quit that shit.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that actually reminds me of the Macy's Day Parade, because they were talking about it, the announcers, and one of the announcers was the fucking demon woman. I think it's Samantha Guthrie, that dumb demon woman that interviewed Donald Trump and gaslit him the whole time.
You would know
her face.
Dark-haired lady, or the blonde?
No, she's blonde, but she's the one that they've made memes of her looking like a demon, because.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She's running.
All right, yeah. I remember her.
So she dropped the 1619 date on the TV, and I'm like, well, what the hell? And so my mother asked us, she's not stupid, but she doesn't know a whole lot. She's like, well, what does that mean, Kevin? 1619. So I had to explain to her, 1619 was supposedly the year that we got the first black slave in America.
Right.
And she's like, well, that's a terrible thing. And like, and slavery is terrible. However, they tell you that, that was the year that the first slave arrived in America. They don't tell you that the person that bought that slave was a black person.
Right.
So
he
the first black
keep him.
slave owner, that's right. So the first black slave owner was in 1619. That's how it should be phrased. Just remind them of that when you see them.
Right.
Because they'll go on that shit.
Let's see. They also took females to convolute the population. They knew too much inbreeding in tribes wasn't a good thing. Yeah. Well, as I say, they either became sex slaves or regular slaves, or they died. They killed them. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't.
Right.
It was a take no prisoners type of situation. And of course, how could they? They were all nomads, most of them. What were they going to do? Stick them in a teepee somewhere?
Right.
First time somebody turns their back, whoop, they're gone.
So it's rumored even today through genetic research that 70% of China's population can trace their history back to Genghis Khan specifically. And the reason why that is because usually what happened is they would go and conquer adjacent tribes and cities and towns, and they would kill all the men, rape all the women, but Genghis Khan was extremely prolific with his pecker. And so he knocked up tons and tons of women, and they kept killing the men.
700 and some odd kids or something like that after all was said and done. It was something I read. Was it him?
It was a shit ton of kids. Yeah, he was prolific. He must have ate a lot of pot or something. I don't know what he was doing. he should have sold the secret. He would have made more money.
He had a lot of testosterone. He had the right amount of testosterone. I don't know.
Just riding on the horses
he
all
might have
day
been
long.
one of those sick people too that he got off on that shit. You know what I'm saying? Some people get off on rude and death, and yeah, some people do.
Yeah, they probably got extreme. Yeah, that's a psychopathic behavior.
It actually sounds more like he had a plan, though. It wasn't Genghis one of the ones that wanted to take over the earth.
Well, he saw that in a dream. I guess he had a near-death experience. Or a divining touch on the shoulder, if you will, and
that'll change
it told
your
him
life
to conquer.
Heck of a lot. I can attest to that.
But it came immediately after the death of his father, because his father was poisoned by a rival tribe, and that fucked him up, and so he just swore vengeance.
Yeah.
So his whole warpath was vengeance. So
Salty Al Bundy says, when I was growing up, every Thanksgiving my dad would make both his sisters cry. They loved to debate. When did he start using ad hominem attacks? Were they winning or something? Or were they losing? Or just get frustrated because you can't get through to the other person or something like that? Drunken Rocky says, you lose the debate when you cry. True. I'm the Resistance. I'm a product of that limited. My lineage is Mexican, Muskogee Creek, and Welsh. Creek? Oh, Muskogee Creek. Or is that two different words there? Muskogee Creek? I don't know what I've got in me. I do know that I am. Now, I didn't come, my ancestors did not come over on the Mayflower, but the Mayflower was not the only ship that came over at that time. I don't remember the name of it. A bunch. So I was on one of the other, my ancestors were on one of the other ships when we landed supposedly at Plymouth Rock. And I'm a daughter of the Revolution. In fact, I'm like Lieutenant Dan's family. Everyone in my family has been in the military in the United States from the time of our revolution. This my sister found out before she died. She was our genealogist. I'm like, wow. So I'm English. I always thought I was. There's German and Irish in me too, but from my dad's side, we're English. Believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it totally. So, I've actually got some pretty close family ties too. My family grew up in Virginia, in the southwest tip of Virginia, and they had been there for a very long time. And other people had moved in and married into the family, but the root of my family is the last name of Ball, which invokes George Washington.
Really?
So it's rumored that I might.
His wife's name, wasn't it? Ball?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Ball.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the same family. So like that's where my mother's family came from. Yeah. Yes, Sparky, really close to Bristol.
Let's see. Skeletor said, I was told I could be a descendant of Alexander the Great. Probably bullshit, though. A lot of people can trace to Alexander. He didn't have as many daughters as Khan, but he did have his fair share of children. Yes.
He did. And now here, Alexander was black, by the way. That's debatable. Some people say otherwise, but he was a Carthaginian. And, yeah, that's another story for another day.
So he was dark-skinned?
Yeah.
Let's see.
They made sculptures of him, and he was dark.
Drunken Rocky says, my ancestors didn't come over on the Mayflower. The Mayflower came over on us. Dude. Was all your family, you descended from drunks? Is that right? Let's see. Skeletor says they were all back then, for what I gather. I think only in the movies.
Yeah, in that area, that most of them were pretty dark. That's all Mediterranean. But what people don't realize is like that whole area was all shipping hubs, and they would ship goods back and forth with each other. And of course, when they docked into port, like sailors will do, they'll get their freak on with all the stuff that's around. So there's a lot of interbreeding. So that's why the Mediterranean area, they're all generally medium brown, but some are darker than others and some are lighter than others.
That's probably why they let him in office, Sparky. He says Virginia's gone downhill a lot. Northam did a lot of lefty stuff. That's probably why they let him in office. Yeah. I still am of the opinion. I'm waiting to see. I'm going to vote for him, but I'm waiting to see if they aren't trying some plot to embarrass him, to try to embarrass him this time. Because I don't trust the polls. After 2016, I never trust another poll. First of all, they never ask me anything, or anybody that I ever known anything. I think they make a lot of this shit up.
I believe they make it up. Yeah, I agree.
In fact, even Stephen Wright said 87% of statistics are made up on the spot.
Right.
Let's see. Annual reminder that Yukon Cornelius carried a fixed blade, a revolver, and an impact tool, already accessible forward of the hips. Yukon knew what was up. Yeah, well, wasn't he hunting the abominable little snowman?
I've got one of those in my front yard. I've got a huge statue of a Sasquatch in my front yard now. It's got a little reflector for its eye, so when people drive by, it scares the shit out of them. It's great.
Cool.
I'm surprised it hasn't been shot up yet, but
or stolen, right?
Right. Well, it's bolted into the ground. It ain't going nowhere.
Limited Access says, LOL, come to find out my grandmother's story about us being 12th in line for the crown of Great Britain, which I didn't know. And that's why they came to America, according to 23andMe. We are descended to Henry III. Oh, neat.
Hey.
My son was like,
Sweet.
Mom, what you said was true. LOL, just what I was told and passed down, but didn't know who or if it's one of his brothers or sisters or bastard. Could be any of them. Although the bastards usually were either hidden away, sent away, or killed.
If they got discovered, yeah.
Back then, children equaled power. You can't do a lot of pairing with wealthy families to create larger kingdoms and wealth in an age when common currency didn't really exist. Yep, that's it. That's right. That also it was also another thing too. Just like being kind of chunky or fat, it also let people know you had a lot of money.
Pretty much. That's another story too. They keep finding these little figurines from thousands of years ago, and they're all thick women with huge boobs, like super thick women. And people are confused. They don't understand why they were made into idols. But if you think about what they had to endure before agriculture was developed, they were all fucking starving. They were hungry all the time. And that person that had the wealth, the kings and queens of the tribes, the whole tribe fed them, so they got nice and fat while everybody else worked.
Right.
So recognizing the wealth of having the food, that's what everybody wanted to be. That was the desirable position to be in, was where you had food all the time. So that's why they made the thick women as their idols, and that's what they were into. Even in the art of the previous centuries, the women were thicker because that appeared more healthy. They were well-to-do. They were better off.
Oh, yeah.
And they lived longer because most people were starving to death, because a lot of them were slaves too, and they didn't eat very well.
Right.
You don't always put premium gasoline in your car. You usually put the cheapest shit you can get in there, right?
Yep.
So the slaves didn't always do so well. However, they did eat, and sometimes being a slave, and this is kind of weird, it's not what Bible says, but sometimes the slave life was a lot better than what they had faced before they were slaves. Because in Africa, we know that they starved a shitload. And if you think, well, if I had to work a little bit for some food that was reliable and a shelter to live in, that's better than living in a mud hut and starving.
Yeah, well, I read somewhere also, too, that, just because these people were slaves, they weren't mistreated. Now, they weren't free or anything like that, but they were considered property, and you didn't want to just kill these people willy-nilly. I mean, that was your money, that was your work, that was how you made your money and things like that, especially, and like I say, this was property at the time. It's not like they went and took an axe to their furniture every day and stuff like that. Why would they, some slaves were mistreated if they tried to get away and stuff like that, but if they did their work, they had 3 hots and a cot usually. They actually did have families. They let them have families. A lot of times it was because the slave owner actually had sex with the best slave girl or whatever like that. But also, too, a lot of people ask nowadays, oh, how come all the football players are big black husky? Well, they were bred that way.
That's true. That's totally right.
The slave owners would actually breed, sometimes force breed, the best slaves and the biggest and the strongest and all that other stuff too. That's why we got some ginormous football players nowadays in sports and stuff.
Right.
So, but
The
yeah,
other thing is,
this was all they did that. I can't, you know, you see the television program like Roots or whatever like that, and of course you find out later that he made that up. It was fiction.
Yeah.
But they show you these things on TV. Now, I'm not saying that some of these people weren't beaten, and I'm not saying some of these people weren't. What do they call that? Where the men would be strapped to the floor and sodomized somehow or another, breaking. Some of them. I'm not saying that some of them wouldn't be broke, and I'm not saying, you know, because you give a little man a little bit of power, they think they're powerful, and they get and in that situation, I can see some people being that way. But I would venture to say that as property, and because of the fact that it was whether or not these plantation owners made money and everything like that, they didn't abuse their property like they keep telling everybody. In fact, you got you got people now that are pissed off because of the fact that some people, they're saying that some people benefited by learning trades or learning what to do or learning how to take care of themselves when they were slaves, so that when they were freed, that they could go out and actually make it. But you got people say, oh, slavery was just so terrible. And yes, it was. You're not supposed to own another human being. But good always comes out of something all the time. And, you know, and again, we were the first people to stop that shit.
That's right.
You know what I'm
That's
saying? Right. I'm not saying you should thank us. I'm not saying on any of that other stuff or anything like that. Just don't live like you're back there. You can't go back. Nothing we can do now is going to change anything that happened back then. And right now, I see more slavery going on in the Middle East and in African countries and everything like that now, and China, than anywhere here in the United States. In fact, I would venture to say that if anybody found out anybody else was a slave, there'd be a race mob. There'd be a mob. There'd be a problem.
Right.
People would sign petitions or kidnap that person and free them, or you know, nobody would stand for that here anymore.
Right. Well, it's like there are more slaves now by number than there ever were in history.
Mm-hmm.
However, none of them are in the Western world.
No.
There are slaves in the Western world, but it's outlawed in the Western world.
Mm-hmm.
So Africa and the Middle East and Asia, they have shit tons of slaves, millions and millions and millions, billions. India is still the caste system, but you can't really talk like that. The white people ended slavery from a legal aspect.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that there's not slaves still. There's still, like, there's tons of trafficked humans.
Well, it wouldn't have stuck otherwise.
Right.
I don't think it would have stuck unless we'd have made laws about it and stuff like that. I mean, plus also too, our Constitution stated it to begin with. I think we just caught up with it. But still. Right.
And we did have a slow start, but we figured it out, and we had made great progress all the way up until the 90s and 2000s, when all the shit was pretty much gone. We were living in peace. Well, in relative peace, but they brought it all back, so we got to deal with it.
Well, I don't know about you, but I was born 6 years after the shit, I had it on the tip of my tongue just now. The civil rights movement. Martin Luther King and all that and everything like that. So I've never been segregated from the time I started going to school. In fact, my next door neighbors were Hispanic. When I was really, really young, I used to play with them all the time. Everyone in school. I've always gone to school with everybody. It's never mattered. I've always been taught that it never mattered. Of course, I'm a child of God. My family's been Christian since before my grandmother, I think, on my dad's side. So I was always taught we're all children of God. We're all equal in His eyes. You know, it's not nice to... I was taught manners, I guess you could say. A lot of this has to do with just self-respect and manners. People aren't being taught how to respect themselves, so if they don't have respect for themselves, they ain't going to have respect for nothing or nobody else.
That's absolutely true. That's the golden rule right there. That's for sure.
I would have
So
had a hot
I
chick
learned that.
slaves when they got a chance to sleep in the house. It was a special night. Well, like I say, that's sex slaves. That's even though that's against the law, we still have the pudding people lovers, to put it politely. I am on YouTube, so. In fact, what's her name? Sydney Watson uses that phraseology for pedophiles, pudding people lovers, or people that love pudding people too much. I think that was cute. I like it. 1205 says modern definition of slave projected on the past, redefine. Yeah, well, I was gonna say you can. One of the reasons why they've or excommunicated Kanye West is he wasn't wrong. It's in the mind now. And the thing is they had to do, once the law stated they couldn't have him anymore, the Democrats went to work on everybody's mind. I mean, the KKK, and a lot of that was, forced. They tried to force people and kill people that didn't agree with them and stuff like that. And they didn't just lynch black people either. There was such a thing.
No, they went after all the.
Go ahead.
No, they went after all the people that were in opposition to the slaves.
Mm-hmm. Well, all they had to do was point and say, "You're a nigger lover."
Right.
That's what they would go after. They would go after white people that were helping black people and stuff like that too. So I'd have a nice nightgown laying on the bed for him. Yeah, okay, Skeletor. Limited access.
Ultimately, they had the slaves.
Go ahead.
I said, ultimately, they had the slaves doing all their dirty work for them. And now that we have machines to pick the cotton, that's not the dirty work they need to have them do. They have the slaves doing their dirty work for them, burning down the cities and risking prison and doing all the nasty work. So the dirty work doesn't always have to be physical labor. It can be political violence as we've experienced. So the people on the plantation are still doing the dirty work. They just don't realize it because it's not picking cotton. We've got machines to do that. We don't need them to pick cotton anymore. But we still rely on them for voting purposes and for them to do the dirty work. And that, in this case, the dirty work is fighting the patriots, basically. I mean, that's what we all know.
Some of it, yeah. Well, they actually supposedly had the supposedly the lesser educated type jobs and things like that too, the lower income stuff, waiters, dishwashers, that kind of thing, and everything like that. And of course, that's one of they're not seeing it, even though they're only 13% of the population. But this is my theory on this, and they're starting to get the picture now with all of the illegals coming in and being even lower waged, taking a lot of their jobs and a lot of their positions and everything like that. And they're trying to replace the white people. They're trying to replace the white people. Well, white people are almost still 70% of the population here. Blacks are almost only 13. What population do you think is going to disappear first?
That's certainly part of it. That's right. And, here's one thing. I live in the state of Tennessee, and we experienced a really curious oddity in our employment track record. So when I first moved here about 3 years ago, there were tons and tons of jobs. And then immediately after I got here, the whole pandemic shut everything down. But those jobs are all industrial, and those jobs needed to still get done. So those jobs remained open, and they started paying a shit ton of money for them, but nobody wanted to work the jobs. Even when the pandemic lifted and you were able to go to work again, those jobs were still open, and they needed people to do those jobs, and nobody wanted to work them because I guess they had finagled the system to get out of working. So I don't know where they got the money from, but they found it somehow.
Well, the government gave a lot of money. Trump started that, believe it or not.
He did.
It's kind of strange when people are just given money, they just stop doing anything else. That blows my mind.
Except the business owners. they wanted to keep
Right.
their business going, so they had to do something.
Right.
And
Well, business.
so
If,
the state,
if you're in business, you realize that some months you don't make as much money as some months. So you actually, if you got anything extra one month, you hang on to it because you don't know if it's. And that's actually how an actual business person thinks, especially one that doesn't have constant business all the time. In fact, my old man, he had a repair shop. And there were some months when he was swamped, and then there were some months that he thought that people thought he was closed. He thought people thought he was closed. So he said, "Yeah, I learned
Right.
real quick. You don't spend everything every month you got because there's some months when you're not going to have as much income, and you're going to still have to pay them bills."
for sure.
So
for
a
sure.
lot of people don't think that way. They get a bunch of money in their hands, like, "Oh, all right." It's like they think it's going to last forever. They quit their jobs, they do everything else, they go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff, and then they can't figure out why they're broke still. Doesn't work that way.
Right.
And I've been thinking about this. You know, there's so many people out there now complaining about the fact that they can't afford this, they can't afford that, and there used to be some people like couponers, and although that's spending a lot of money too, and you get a lot of useless stuff out of couponing that you'll probably never use or might expire depending on the coupon or depending on the product. But
Right.
I've been I guess you could say conservative or conservationist for a long time. I've always pinched pennies no matter how rich or poor I've ever been. I don't buy things that are not necessary. There's other ways of either reading them, looking at them. In fact, one of the very first pieces of advice these people would give, there used to be self-help for being able to budget and being able to live on your means and things like that. You have to really teach people how to do that. But one of the
Right.
first pieces of advice that I remembered was stop buying magazines.
Well, they're expensive.
Yeah, they are.
They're expensive,
They're very
and they don't really
expensive.
help a whole lot.
And if you get more than 2 or 3 a month or something like that, that's $40 or $50 a month right there almost. Sometimes, depending on who you
Right.
are, whatever. But yeah, stop buying magazines. Don't go, make your own coffee. It takes a little tiny bit more work sometimes. But for what I spend for what you can spend on 1 cup of coffee, which I don't consider it's coffee, it's dessert. It's Starbucks in some of these places. But what you spend on 1 cup of coffee with all the specialty blah, blah, blahs and everything like that, you can buy a bag of coffee yourself.
Yeah, you totally can. My ex-wife bought 3 or 4 of those coffees a day, and it was a ton of money every week and then every month. And
It adds
I don't
up.
know. That's another story.
It adds up.
It totally adds up.
In
And she was
fact,
broke all the time, and she made more than I did
yeah.
at the time.
Like I say, it takes a little bit
So I
more
don't-
attention and it takes a little bit more work, but I put it this way, and I own a house and everything, but for the last at least 10 years that I've been here, I've lived on less than 40 grand a year. And I have a house,
Nice. Yeah.
2 cars, my electric's paid, I've got my computer. I mean, I can buy whatever I need to buy when I need to buy it or whatever like that, but it's because I don't spend extra money on bullshit. And if I want something, I usually make it myself. I'm like Rick Sanchez. if I see something I don't like, I change it.
Right.
So
Well, it's good to be handy, too, to know how to do stuff.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's just so much information on the internet with all that too, and there are people teaching all the time. I mean, look at the wood guy, the new guy that we got following us now, the wood
Wood Geek.
guy and everything like that.
Yeah, I checked out his videos. He does really good work. He's just making pens, but he does a good job. So I'm about ready to start doing that myself. I need to figure out some way to accentuate my income because I'm now on a fixed income. I'm disabled again. And I shouldn't say again for the first time. And that what I get paid in disability isn't enough to live on. So I got to figure out how to make some more income. So I'm going to start a little business here. I'm going to start a Patriot business. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and the thing is too, now with everybody raising prices on everything like that, it's even more important to try and save money, to try and get the deals. Sure. Try to counteract the bullshit that they're posing on us right now. It's not impossible.
Right.
And like I say, even now, through the Obama years and everything, even owning a house and everything, literally, we have lived off of less than 40 grand a year. we try. It's not like I don't try to make more money than that, but you can only do so much for so long. You got to sleep sometime. And I don't. I guess one of the things also too is that I don't make money the absolute be all. Everything goes to Christ. It doesn't belong to me anyway. So I might have a little bit different attitude about it, but I don't. Again, the main thing is don't go out and spend money on bullshit you don't need. Or find a cheaper alternative. They have those too. Do what?
So I'm generally pretty conservative, and there's been a habit that I've indulged in a fair bit is prepping, buying extra canned food and dry rice, dry beans.
Oh yeah.
Just in case some shit goes on, you'll have some food. It may not be the best food, but enough food to stay afloat for a little while until things settle down, or where you need to go hunt, whether it be people or animals or whatever.
Right.
So you guys should all invest in some dry rice and some dry beans, because it's going to taste better than eating human people. Because if the shit hits the fan, that's what we're all going to be eating, or we're going to be dying. So just wanted to add that a little bit in there. And I'm blessed today. I have great big thanks to give to the powers that be, mostly God and Christ Jesus, that I had great turkey today. Did you have ham or turkey today, Laura?
I had both.
You had both? That's
both.
The way to be. That's awesome.
Well, some people don't like turkey and some people don't like ham, so I always have both. Like I say, we had about 25 people today, 25, 27 people today.
That's pretty busy.
People came in, and we pretty much have an open house when it comes right down to it. Everybody gets invited. If you can make it, come on, have a plate, whatever, if you can't. But we had turkey, we had ham, we had green bean casserole, we had macaroni and cheese, potatoes au gratin, sweet potatoes, and then there was like tons of hors d'oeuvres. Everybody brought hors d'oeuvres. We had the chipotle pepper jelly on cream cheese and crackers, and we had stuffed mushrooms, and we had what else was there? Of course, lots of fruits. We had strawberries and melon and things like that. So yeah, but like I say, we expected a lot of people. So
well, that all sounds great. That sounds really good. That sounds a whole lot more. Yeah, that sounds a lot more bountiful than the picture Mr. Tizo posted. Have you seen that little picture there?
I was going to ask Mr. Tizo, did you make that? That looks like a little clay something or other there. Oh wow, it's 9:06 already. In fact, I just saw Drunken Rocky say he was getting ready to go live on over there. This is show number 79 for him. This is show number 101 for me. I had my 100th show last week. Appreciate everybody being here. In fact, you called me last week too for that, didn't you?
Yes. I had to congratulate you. So I'm glad you came on again tonight. We were all wondering where you're at. I figured you were enjoying food with your family or just the day. Well,
I had mentioned it. It just so happens everybody left like right around 7-ish. So I was like, why not? I actually originally came here to see if anybody was going to stream in my place, and I thought, oh no. So I went to Pastor Chatelet's page to see what was going on, and Zom's like, yeah, you want to go live. And it's okay, let me get prepared. It takes me a few minutes to get all of the channels up and everything, because I am streaming on all 4 channels tonight: YouTube, Odysee,
nice,
Kick, and Rumble. And I do appreciate everybody. I hope everybody had a really good Thanksgiving and has a fantastic weekend. I've got tomorrow off. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be cleaning. But I work on Saturday night and then work on Sunday morning as well. So I'll probably see everyone next Thursday. I appreciate you calling me, Cy. I'm so glad that you had a good turkey day.
I did, and I'm glad that we got to hang out tonight as a family.
Yes.
The whole extended Pond family.
Yeah. I got to spend time with all my family. Well, almost all my family. We had, like I say, we had a large crowd today and everything, and there were some people that came up from out of town too. So it was fun.
Great.
Got a house full over at my dad's. He's got the room for it. I don't have any bedrooms. we call my dad's place the mansion. He's got 7 bedrooms over there.
Wow.
So
wow.
Yeah. So that's the mansion, if you can call it a mansion.
Hey, 7 rooms in a house. That's a pretty big house. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess so. They have guests a lot. They like to entertain, and they like to to keep people over, and you know, they always help people out. There's always somebody living over there. Right now there isn't, because my dad just had surgery and stuff like that, but usually there's somebody over there living there for a couple of weeks to try and get on their feet and stuff. My parents are always helping folks out. In fact, that's what he said.
That's
God,
awesome.
God gave him this big of a house, and it's only 2 of them. He says, why not have people here? He thinks,
That's awesome.
he thinks that's what it's for, I believe. So good for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate it, and so does the family when everybody comes here.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'm gonna get the skipping here. And
Okay.
again, thank you very much for having a great Thanksgiving Day with us.
Oh.
It was late in the evening.
Well, thank you
And-
guys all for being here. I do appreciate that. I actually thought everybody was going to just spend time with their family. Usually I don't see any of the regulars do a lot of their stuff on Thanksgiving. Either they pre-record it and put it on later or whatever. But why not? I figured it's like, I did this for Zom and Skeletor and you and anybody that wanted to come out. Like I say, it was just an impromptu. I had to take a few minutes to get ready and everything like that. But I'm glad I made it. Now I'm going to spend the rest of the evening with... I'm sorry,
So
go
we're
ahead.
glad that you made it too.
Oh, okay. Now I'm going to spend the rest of my evening with my husband. So I do appreciate you calling me. Butterball, 77.79 at Safeway. Damn, for how big a one? Salty.
Yeah.
Salty Al, how big of one? Because that's not a pound, is it? I've seen, actually, not recently. I didn't look for turkeys recently. I had one. But right after the inflation went up to like, what was it, 8 or 9%, I saw a turkey for like $130, like a 20-pound turkey for like
Oh, my.
$130. I was like, no way.
Wow.
And the steaks, even at Sam's, the steaks, dang, it was like 3 porterhouses, just a normal package of porterhouses. It might have been 10 pounds. $269. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
At Sam's. I'm like, I guess I
That's
won't be
nuts.
eating that anytime soon.
Yeah. You know, the Walmart meat prices have gone through the roof. They're totally crazy high.
Yeah, I don't buy.
They're not.
I don't
They're
buy
like the
meat at
highest of
Walmart.
them all.
Yeah, I don't usually buy meat
I
at
try not
Walmart.
to, but
I either well, I try real hard to do a butcher here, but he's kind of expensive too. He was expensive before it got expensive.
yeah, but you get quality with the butcher at least.
Mm-hmm. But usually I will go to one of the grocery stores for meat. If I get meat at all, if I can even afford it. Most of the time I can get some chicken and that's about it. Maybe a little bit of
Right,
hamburger. So I'm not vegan or anything, not by choice anyway. And I still will get a rasher or bacon or two and things like that. So Sparky the Welder says, got a turkey at Kroger for about 39 cents a pound the other day. They have a sale every year. $30 for an 11-pound turkey. Yeah, that's way more like it, Sparky.
Right.
Alrighty. Enjoyed talking with
All right.
you. I always enjoy talking with you. I'm glad you called me.
All right, my pleasure, Laura. Hope you have a great afternoon or evening or whatever time it be. I'm lost in time warp, and I'll probably talk to you next Thursday.
Alrighty then.
All right, take care,
All
guys.
right.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Thanks so much. God bless. All right. Shout out. That's Cy. Or the Blue-Eyed Devil on Odysee there. I think he had to change his thing or something. They kicked him off, or I forget what happened. That was a long time ago anyway. All right, you guys. That's about it for me tonight. I do appreciate y'all being here tonight. This was an impromptu thing. I'm sorry I didn't have anything really prepared for you, but it was a good conversation. And all of that. I appreciate the chats and the phone calls and the donations and everything like that. And I wish you guys, God bless America, God bless you, and all that good stuff there. Stick with Jesus, man. People are going to make fun of us and all that other stuff, but you can't care what anybody else thinks. Stick close to God. It's especially important now. You see what's going on around everybody like that and stuff like that. And also to try to stay close to your family. Like I say, I know that even with the fights and the separations and everything like that, you still love them, you still care about them and all of that. So try to reach out to them. You know, what can I tell you? They need Christ as much as the rest of us do. And that'll also let them know that you still love them too. That's not a bad thing. I like to feel loved. Unrequited love stinks. That's why Jesus is so perfect, because it's never unrequited love there. All right, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. God bless you. God bless America. I wish you peace, love, health, and music as always. And until next time, AMF.